Hey guys, welcome to the Blue Room Podcast, an intimate space where we explore ourselves, our lives, and our relationships more deeply through therapeutic conversation. I'm your host, Tanya Tomsa, and I'm so grateful to be on this journey with you. For this episode, we have Tanya here. Tanya is she's a friend and colleague, and we've gotten to know each other. Was it about a year, maybe? Or less than a year, I would say.
Less than a year.
Less than a year. We've been...
it feels like years and years.
It feels like years and years.
Yeah.
Our healing journeys are really aligning. I feel like we're doing the same work in our own lane. And we've also had a lot of opportunities to collaborate. And you're really on this, mental health and spirituality and healing journey, which resonates a lot with me. Mm-hmm. And you also are a social worker and also currently taking your master's in social work.
I'm finished. I'm just finishing off my last course right now. And it's been 22. I've been a registered social worker for 22 years and put off this master's, put off, but then finally just did it.
You got it done. You got it done.
I start my practicum in September.
Oh my God.
Almost done.
And I'm DMing you all day, every day. And you're probably trying to study.
No, I'm here for what you're doing. I love it.
I love it. And I will just say too, like every morning I open my DMs and you're usually already in there with a message like, good morning, beautiful. I hope you have like a great day. Or like you comment on one of the stories that I put up. So those little things are like super impactful. I appreciate you shining your light that.
I appreciate what you're doing, and it just really resonates. So I'm like, I need to let you know that it does.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Before we get started, I like to pull a card from our deck. If we pull a card that is the same as cards that were already pulled, we're going to have to re-pull.
Okay.
I shuffle it. I do what I can. And for some reason, we just keep pulling the same cards. I don't know what the universe is trying to tell us, but yeah, we'll pull from this. You can pull first, answer a question, and then I'll do the same.
Very good.
Yeah, go right ahead. Do the honors.
Should I just pull from the top, or should I get in here?
Whatever calls to you.
Okay, I'm gonna go in.
All right.
I don't have my glasses, but let's try here.
Let me know if you need a hand.
I was holding it upside down. Maybe you can read it. My glasses. I should have brought them.
All right, I'll read it for you. Okay. If I look through your phone right now, what's something I'd find that would embarrass you?
Something that would embarrass me.
Any nudes?
No nudes.
Any
no
websites?
Partials. Partial nudes. Yeah.
Oh, can I say really quick? Yeah. That boudoir. I went to visit your house one day, and you did a boudoir shoot.
I did.
That was freaking stunning.
Phenomenal.
You're such a badass.
Yeah, it was so beautiful.
It was so well done. Okay, sorry.
So, I'm not embarrassed about those at all. I'm obviously not going to post all of them. I posted a couple, with some lingerie on, but, we went there, the lady that I did the shoot with in Airdrie, Alberta, but I'm not embarrassed by that.
No.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe some of the takes of videos that I do. I tend to laugh at myself a lot just through my healing journey and all of it. So sometimes I'm like, God, you're such a dork. So maybe I would be embarrassed by something like that. But
the retakes on there. I know. I used to be bad for that too. My gosh. All right, I'll pull one of these. Oh, that's not a real card. It's just telling us how to play the games. Okay, who in your family are you closest with and why? I would say my sister for sure. She's 2.5 years younger than me. We lived in the same household but completely different paths of life. So when we were teenagers, it's funny because we laugh about it now, reminiscing on some of the crazy stuff my parents used to do or places that we used to go. But we weren't as close because she was a good kid. I would have to tell her to keep my secrets. I'm we're gonna sneak people into the basement. Don't say anything. Don't tell nobody nothing. And she just did the thing. She finished high school. She did her university. She was really good, but she's way more vocal than me. It's so funny because I expressed my rebellion in outward ways. But I was very quiet and like reserved. Like I wouldn't speak. I wasn't argumentative. Her, she has a mouth on her, which I actually admire.
Right.
I always admired. I was like, she's my younger sister. I wish I could, talk the way that she talks and fight back the way she fights back. So I wouldn't say we were so close growing up because we lived kind of different lives, but now like we talk every single day. We're trying to take care of my parents together, trying to like, figure out our parents' stuff and our own lives. We did chat about how we're like both kind of on this healing journey and we're both trying to share our journey while also supporting other people like in our community. But for folks who don't know you and like what you're about and what you've done, can you give a little introduction?
Oh my goodness, where do I start? I want to keep it brief. So I'm originally an East Coast girl. Yeah. I have Nova Scotia roots here, which is so fantastic. My paternal grandmother, Catherine Peters, was from Annapolis Royale. I didn't know her very well, but I am getting to know the family now, which is beautiful. One of the reasons certainly why I chose to move back to Nova Scotia. Not that I've ever lived here, I haven't, but I was born and raised in St. John, New Brunswick. And moved out of my mom's house actually when I was probably 16 or 17. Put myself through high school, put myself through my first university degree at St. Thomas in Fredericton. My focus has always been studying anti-Black racism and trying to understand how it makes us ill. And I just, growing up, I could see very clearly that my father was treated much different than my mom. And I wanted to understand why that was as a little kid. Obviously, anti-Black racism, like that wasn't terminology that I had until I was older. So, but yeah, that was my start. And I left after I finished that first degree and moved to Alberta. I had to make some money, and it's like everyone was going to Alberta, so that's what I did. And did another degree out there, my social work degree, and started a family. Got into my career, and fast forward like 25 years. Really aging myself, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm in the midlife kind of era. It's totally fine. I've just turned.
You look like you're in a good place in your life.
I just turned 47. Thanks.
Honestly,
I just turned 47, but just you're
making me looking forward to it. Honestly, oh my.
I had an opportunity to move back here to Nova Scotia, and I decided, you know what? I did like a midlife pivot. I resigned the position that I had with the government of Alberta after 17 years. Pulled my pension, just did a whole, just was done. I was thoroughly...
What were you doing with the government?
Well, like I said, I've been a registered social worker for 22 years. The first 5 years were kind of nonprofit, doing mental health and addiction work, and certainly working with folks who were involved in the sex trade or being sexually trafficked. And then I moved into working with the government of Alberta as an investigator, a caseworker with Children's Services for years, and then about 10 years as a supervisor. And the last team that I had was the PSECA team, which stands for the Protection of Sexually Exploited Children's Act. So I supervised a team of 5 investigators, and really the positions were just to work very closely with police to investigate and support children and families who these kids were being sexually trafficked and exploited or at risk of. We would do a lot of education around that as well. So that's fine, but I finally hit a point in my life where I'm like, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm tired. I'm giving too much away, and I need to reevaluate. And it really, my children and family were saying to me, "You're different, Mom." And my youngster, who's 13, my children are 26 and almost 23 and 13. And I was putting my youngster to bed one night and going to a night shift. So I used to do intervention through the night. Any emergencies came in, homicide called, like something big was happening. I was the team leader who was on. And would dispatch kind of teams to respond. But my little one said to me one night, "Mom, are you sure you don't love the kids you work with more than you love me?" That was kind of the beginning of the end for me. I'm like, career is important. I'm so happy and privileged to have done this work, but it's not more important than my own health, and it's not more important than my children and being with my kids. So I left it all, sold my house, resigned, drove across the country here to Nova Scotia, and have been here about 15 months now.
You moved back. And it was so funny bringing you in as part of our community wellness program and having you in Mulgrave Park. I only planned for you to come in for one day, but the community loved you so much they brought you back the second for like a round 2.
They were so great.
They were so in love with the way that you talked about mental health, and you just created space, and you brought chocolate cake, a nice homemade chocolate cake for everyone. But it was so funny because you said you never lived here, but the amount of people that knew you or knew your family, or like, like you guys made these connections like right away. I was like, that's such a Scotian thing to happen.
Totally.
It was so beautiful.
Yeah, it was. It really felt like family.
Yeah.
So, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So we were going to chat today a little bit about loving with boundaries, talking about forgiveness and without compromise, forgiveness without compromise, and how we can forgive others but still respect ourselves in the process and not have to continue to put ourselves in these situations that are harmful for us, whether it's relationships, whether it's jobs, whatever the case may be. Do you have a situation in your life or a couple where boundaries maybe were not respected at first, and where you really had to set some strong boundaries around, and how that process was like?
I would say, for years and years, and it's just really I set it up this way. We'll just start there. My mother always told me, you teach people how to treat you. So if you allow disrespect, if you allow people trampling on your boundaries, then that's what will occur.
Yeah.
And truth be told, my whole career really, and I should have known better, probably especially the first 10 years, I did not have any boundaries at all in regards to overworking and overextending myself. And it's like I went into the career of social work because I wanted to make some sort of difference. My upbringing was very challenging. I was exposed to lots of things. I certainly resonated with what you shared on your first, episode. It's like, drug abuse and alcohol addiction and violence in the home, just all of those things.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get into a profession where, number one, work on my own healing, which started probably when I was 19. Therapy has been ongoing for many, many, many years, because you certainly don't want to go into a profession to help others and project your own pain onto people. For me, I had a responsibility to look at my own things, heal myself, and but get into a profession where I really could make some sort of difference. And I had someone recently say to me, an older man, an older white man, he said to me, you think you're really going to make a difference in the world with the job that you do? Like, it's always going to be like this, and what you're doing is not going to make any difference.
Well, damn.
Right? And I was like, oh, you and I are different human beings.
Absolutely.
We're different human beings. Because for me, if I can just help one person, I'm good. So I would say that it's like I had to just start saying no. It was challenging.
You're good with boundaries.
I am now. I wasn't for a lot of years. I would work. You could ask anyone in Alberta who knew me then. I worked more than anyone. I would work circles around everyone. I held the fort down at home. I was everything all the time to everyone except myself.
Yeah, we put ourselves last. Why do you think you were like that? Like, do you think it was like a desire to prove something, or do you feel like you were in a situations where your boundaries were crossed so many times that you just didn't have any? Or what was
I think it's a number of things. It stems from childhood. For me, it's always childhood trauma when you're trying to figure out why you are ABC. It's like, look back.
Yeah, for sure.
I was the kid opposite from you. I had siblings in the home that were running the streets and just like doing their thing. I was the overachieving, toe the line, did everything perfectly so that I was trying to earn my mother's and my father's love. I wanted to be the good, perfect kid.
Right.
And I took that well into my adult life, where I think really believed at the core of myself in my early 20s for sure, maybe even in my 30s, that I didn't really deserve love, that I didn't really deserve for people to respect me or to respect my boundaries, that I had to earn love by overextending myself. And it wasn't until I thoroughly burnt out and developed a host of symptoms, high blood pressure, insomnia, depression, and actually got a diagnosis of PTSD, that I'm like, oh, actually, what I've been doing all these years, it hasn't been like good.
No.
You need to put yourself first if you're going to be successful, and if you're going to be, I can't think of the word right now, but it's like when you're really wanting to help others, you have to help yourself first.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's why you'll hear me say so many times on my social, fill your cup first.
100%.
You cannot pour from an empty cup. I've been there. I tried. It doesn't lead anywhere good.
It's true. There's that, and like you mentioned, kind of that disease to please, like that disease to please, like always kind of searching for that like external validation and things like that. And I think with my experiences, like I feel like I never had boundaries because I feel like they were always crossed, like over and over and over. Like if I didn't want to do something, it was easily, also because I was a bigger sister and had to be accommodating and just kind of like not the caretaker of the house, but like I felt like I always had to put other people's needs above my own. I had nieces, I had nephews, I had, and traumas and things like that. So like I never could voice when I even wanted something. Someone could say, well, what flavor ice cream do you want? And that was such a difficult question for me to answer because I didn't know what I wanted, because I always wanted it was always up to the other person. Do you know what I mean? So
I do.
It was like really, it's been really interesting to kind of learn how to develop boundaries and know myself. Like I really feel like I didn't know myself for like a lot of years because I was always so focused on the needs of others. And as a disease to please, we have it as women, as Black women.
Especially.
I
feel like especially.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's true. Where, again, I said in previous episodes, we're like, we are kind of the bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah.
And I really had to kind of relearn or learn in the beginning. Like I feel like I didn't really know. I had to relearn because we always know who we are. And I believe so. I believe we always know what we want and what we don't want, but sometimes we move so far away from ourselves, whether it's like not listening to our intuition or again that chatter that we get externally, that we move so far away from that. And that's what boundaries allow us to do. It allows us to create that space between other people and ourselves so that we still have that awareness of ourselves. How do you feel like boundaries have helped your relationships?
Everyone around me had to do some adjusting and readjusting at first. When it was time for me to meditate, to write in my journal, to have a therapy session, whatever it was, because we were going through COVID.
Yeah.
When I was doing some big therapy, I've been doing and involved in, with therapists since I was 19 to, work through some childhood trauma stuff, but really turned up the volume.
Yeah.
During COVID, you know.
COVID, you were still in Alberta.
I was in Alberta. Yeah. And so I made the announcement to my family that this is what I'm doing for myself. This is why. When my door is closed, I'm not available. My husband was there. I'm like, let's do some re-evaluating and kind of situating of what you would normally do.
Roles.
Yeah. It's like a renegotiation in your marriage. We've been married 15 years now, and I'm like, this is what I normally would always do, and I'm not able to do that right now, actually.
I have a question about that. Did you feel like you were overextending to your family because they needed you to, or was that also that disease to please, like that that perfectionism?
Perfectionism has been my disease since I was a little kid, for sure. And I watched my mom
do that.
My mother always put herself at the bottom of the totem pole, mostly because I guess she felt like she had to, and we were raised in poverty. She was on government assistance. We were in government housing. She also always worked. She was a bartender, she was a waitress, but it wasn't enough to pay the bills and put food in our, in our mouths. So I watched her neglect herself and put people first always. And so I continued that in my own life. And I had to retrain and reteach my family because my kids and my husband were used to me showing up in a certain way. And I was angry and resentful
100%
for the way I was showing up. And I'm like, don't be mad at them. Be mad at yourself.
What was their response when you were like, shit is changing? Like, what was their response?
I think early on, they said it was fine and good, but you could tell that people were uncomfortable. They just needed to get used to it. I was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable for me to put myself first.
Yeah.
Because I had never done that. I had to work through feelings of feeling guilty, of feeling like I was being selfish, of feeling like, oh, maybe my marriage will end because I'm now not giving my husband what it is he's used to me always giving, which is everything, all the time. Am
I a good mom? Am I, there for my kids?
All of
enough? Oh my God.
All of it. And even with work, it's like, I just stopped. I started declining to, I'm not doing the overtime. I'm not available for evening calls. I'm not available for, just saying no. And I think people in my life, my family especially, were like, whoa, what's going on with her? Is she going through a midlife crisis? No, I'm going through a healing and an awakening. And
get on it.
Get into it, family, because this is what it is. And, it took some adjusting for them. It took some adjusting for me.
Yeah.
But now, a couple years later, it's like I am showing up in such a way that some days I can't even believe it.
Yeah.
When I look at myself and I look at like how I conduct myself now and how I feel, I'm like, you know what? There's something to be said for loving on yourself and respecting yourself.
How do you find it's affected your relationship with your partner and your kids now that you're doing less for them?
I would say my family is proud of me.
Yeah.
I would say my mom, my younger sister, I would say, and my kids, I would say that they're proud of me.
Yeah.
I
like that. I love that.
Like you teach people how to treat you.
Yeah.
And they have figured out that this doesn't mean that mom loves us less. It means that she loves herself. And then when you do that, you're able to show up in the world in a much better way.
Yeah.
I could let go of the anger. I could let go of the resentment. I could let go of the burnout and you guys are all taking me for granted or taking advantage of me.
100%.
It's like, but I was setting it up that way.
Yeah. And a lot of times the boundaries, they're scarier for us than they are for the other person. Right. Like they'll eventually adjust. Maybe it takes that transition period, but if they really love you and they really support you on your healing journey, we think it's going to be this like end of the world, big catastrophic thing, but it ends up being more scary for us than it is for the...
I think so. I mean, I definitely was worried about how people were going to respond to me moving forward. People were used to the old Tanya, who was grinding all the time and who was overextending and who was like hardcore. Like I really appreciated when you had Tia on talking about how she's a Cancer and so am I.
Oh yeah.
And I never ever showed up in the world the first 43 years of my life where I ever showed any softness at all. I never did. I always presented with the hardest exterior. I was hardcore. I did everything all the time and it's like, don't come for me. Because I will hurt you.
Yeah.
And it really was just a trauma response for me to keep kind of people at bay.
Yeah.
I didn't want to experience the hurt that I had endured as a child.
Yeah.
So I really presented with fully armored up into the world.
Yeah.
And I also, because I was raised in poverty, I wanted better.
Yeah.
I wanted better for myself, and I swung the pendulum really far in one direction.
Yeah, because you live in a nice little life right now. You see your little white Cadillac? Is it? No,
it's a Mercedes.
I love it. When I saw you roll up to Tia's one like that day, I was like, who is this stunner coming out? Like your outfit was on point, your hair was on point, like you had this beautiful heels on, like this nice car.
Thanks.
And I love to see it, and I love to know that you also came from poverty.
I so much poverty. Like I was just talking. My older daughter was here from Alberta recently, Shelby, who's turning 26 soon, and we were talking about, how when I was coming up, my mom would just buy giant things of bologna and powdered milk. And usually a loaf of white bread, and it's like that's what we ate. Like
Kraft dinner and hot dogs.
Things were hard, and the church would show up with a food hamper, and things were very hard. So my motivation early on, I mean, I started working a full-time job at 15. I worked at Dairy Queen cleaning their toilets and scrubbing floors for $5 an hour.
I was on
and
it
that's
too.
how I paid my way, and I did that for 7 years until I went to university.
Wow.
So I'm not a stranger to working hard at all.
Yeah.
Life was very hard, but I definitely swung the pendulum so far, and I was so burnt.
I love to see that, and I know with boundaries and the disease to please and those expectations, like I really had to reevaluate myself too. Like co-parenting is another ball game. And I remember, when I was in relationships, like I would always be so angry and resentful, against the people that I was with, because I would always be doing things that I didn't want to do. And there was always an undertone of resentment that I had. And I found actually the more that I said no, now that, we co-parent and we have physical space, we have physical boundaries. But even at the beginning, I was still doing things or overextending just to try to keep the peace and not try to re-trigger things and things like that.
Walking on eggshells.
And
trauma response.
Literally, every time you see a text come up, you're like, oh my God, like, you're like, what am I going to have to readjust my schedule? Am I going to have to do this? But the more that I said no and kept, that kind of space and that boundary, and that comes with growth and healing, and also the people that I surround myself with now, which are a lot of strong women. Seeing you on your journey, and also Tia I'm really close with, and the women that I really circle myself around now, I see how they're showing up in the world, and how they're healing, and how they're standing up for myself. Even my mom now, like you try to get her to babysit now is like the hardest thing. She's like, I got plans, I got things to do. Like I've raised all you guys, and she really did. Like you can't even get mad at her. But I'm like, damn, like now I'm really out here by myself. But like at the beginning, like I, sometimes picking up my kids from school or daycare, like I'd have so much anxiety because I'd put expectations on myself, like pick them up on this time, come home, you have to make supper, they have to have a bath by this time, they have to go to bed by this time, and we would never enjoy our time together. I would literally have anxiety picking my kids up. These are my kids. Like I should not have to feel anxious picking up my kids or going to visit family or going to see friends. Like if there's things that I don't want to do, I'm just not going to do them. And I'm so much more aware of myself and things that are triggers to me now.
Honoring yourself.
And the best way to do that is we really have to know ourselves, and we have to undo the conditioning, and we have to know.
That's it.
Undo the
condition. It's like all of these years we've gone through an indoctrination about how women are supposed to be, about how Black women are supposed to be, about how mothers and wives are supposed to be. And for me, I reject that. I reject that
all the way.
Right? It's like, no, I'm going to show up in a way that feels authentic and feels like love and acceptance from me.
100%.
And all of the people who have an issue with that are going to fall away from my life. And that's okay. Goodbye. Go heal over there. I wish you all the best.
Go do it. And we have these external voices. Like I'm like, should I feel bad that my kids not doing this, or this is not happening? But our best evenings are like, we're like at the lake till like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and there's still daycare and school the next day. And I'm like, we're just gonna go home. We're gonna eat some naan bread with like salt and pepper on it, some olive oil, whatever. I'm not fighting with you guys. Exactly.
Yeah, it's okay.
Why are we fighting over meals? Why are we fighting over bedtimes? Like we all just like just passed out the other day on at the bed at like 10 o'clock at night, like. And I know if their dad hears this, he's gonna go crazy because he's like 7:30. He's texting me, "Are the kids still awake?" I'm like, "Still awake? 7:30 p.m." Like we're like living it up. Like we're having a big old party over here. 7:30. What's going on at your house?
Yeah.
But I used to compare, and I feel like, okay, so if that's how they're going to be at that place, you know, that's how they have to be here, and structure and routine and things like that. We have to do what's best for us and what resonates with us. And also, we're still healing and we're still learning ourselves, and parenthood is a whole mess either way. But yeah, like letting go of the expectations of ourselves and what other people have of us.
Yeah.
I did put this story on Instagram. I did put these questions up, and I just want to quickly go over them and see kind of what folks were saying. What's the hardest thing about setting boundaries? We had a lot of response on this one.
Boundaries are a hard one.
Boundaries
especially with family.
So tough with family. So tough with family. What you kind of mentioned earlier, other people's reactions, like not knowing how other people will respond, if they're going to be comfortable with it. What would you say to that, first of all, if people are concerned about setting a boundary?
You need to look at yourself. You need to let go of your concern of like what people are going to think about you. Like if you're a people pleaser, like I have been my whole life, it's like you worry about that. But I'm like, do your healing work around that. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what people think about how you're spending your time and your boundaries. This is my life that God gave to me to live the way I need to live. I am not here to serve you.
No.
I'm not here to serve you. You know, I'm going to serve myself first and make sure that I'm okay and fill that cup. What is in my cup is mine. What runneth over the cup is for everybody else. So not to say that I don't want to serve, I absolutely do, but not at my expense. That's all.
And not to benefit other people in the sense of serving in a way that is still falling under other people's expectations. We have our own purpose here, and you living in your truth and your light, it shines out to other people.
Totally.
And that's leading an example for other people to do the same.
Yes, and I think the more of us that do that, it's like, be the change you want to see in the world.
100%.
I want to see other women, especially, I'm here for all the women. I definitely want to see, I want to see everyone heal, but I'm like, I want to see other women heal and thrive and just love themselves, love their bodies, love like just everything. You know?
I love that you said that. My Instagram is all plus size women.
I love it.
All plus size models.
Yes. I want us to live our best lives.
Literally. And when other people are shamelessly living in their truth, it just creates this like ripple effect for the rest of us. Like to just live
it makes it safe for us to do it too.
Yeah. Again, someone else said, you know, the hardest thing about setting boundaries, how other people will respond to the boundaries. Familiarity, like it's just easy. You kind of get to this routine. You want to touch on that? How can we break that? Like when you want to decide, I've been doing this for 15 years, but today is the day.
Yeah, get really clear on your goals and then make a plan about how you are going to achieve said goals. That's it. Like just take that step. It's like, this is not working for me anymore. And as much as it's going to feel scary and like, oh, you know, it's going to feel like weird for you to do it differently and it's going to be uncomfortable, but I'm like, but the healing that comes on the other side of that work, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. So
and accepting that not everyone's going to agree and people are going to know you as one type of, you know, they just know the old Fanny or they just know the old Tanya. They're not yet comfortable with the new Tanya, the new Fanny.
And so many people benefit when you are an overgiver.
Jeez.
And so when you finally say, no, I'm not going to do that anymore, it pisses people off. And for me, that's just an indication of you're not part of the tribe I need around me anyway. So it's okay for you to fall off. And to go over there.
I release you.
I release you. Respectfully. I hope you heal. Like no, for me, there's no hard will at all. Like I've had to let go of some relationships. I had to let go of one a couple of months ago, and we were best friends for 25 years. That was hard. Like I cried so hard, and so did she. But I'm like, this is not good for me.
I love you better this way. I love you better this way.
And just to be really mindful around, like, how do you feel after you have contact with that person? Do you feel depleted and used and exhausted and just, I'm like, that is, listen to yourself. We have instincts for a reason. Your body will tell you. Listen to it.
Undo that conditioning.
Yes.
Because the way everybody else has been telling you how to live and how to exist and how to show up, it buries your inner voice. And it buries what you know is true and how you want to react and how you feel about certain things. It's all, covered up. But as you do the work and you do the undoing, you start to remember what that voice sounds like. You start to relearn yourself and know what feels good and what doesn't.
Totally.
And don't ignore it.
And that's the thing. So many of us ignore it, and you will always regret it when you ignore it.
100%.
So that's, for me, that's why meditation is everything and part of my healing journey. It's like when you sit quietly with yourself and get in tune with your body while you're working through things, you'll know what is right for you and what is not aligned for you.
100%.
So stay true to that. You won't go wrong.
Honor that.
Doesn't mean it will be easy. It won't be.
Yeah.
But, you won't go wrong.
Accept that things are hard. Like, I think a lot of times we try to avoid hardship and difficulty. Yeah. And we just think life is just going to be super easy.
Easy all the time. And we want instant gratification, but that's not where it's at.
Life is going to be, it's going to be hard, but develop practices that can take you through the hard times.
Yes.
Whether it's like meditation, whether it's journaling, whether it's taking a little mini vacation, whether it's shutting people out, disconnecting, whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
Because those hardships are going to keep coming. I call them coping kits. Like, I have a list of things that I know are going to get me through stressful times. And I can feel when things are piling up and burying up, and I go right back to that. Ooh, okay, quick question. Where is the most difficult to set boundaries? I did a poll, and 72% of people said family.
Totally.
Always family.
To say no to family, especially to put boundaries between yourself and a parent that maybe is toxic to you, is triggering for you. I mean, that is so hard. And people will say to you all the time, but it's your mother, or it's your father, or it's this, it's that, it's your auntie. I don't care.
Yeah, especially in the Black community.
Yes,
it's like,
we accept
that's your brother, that's your sister.
Right? But we accept that, family is like the be all end all, and it's like, this person really hurt me, and I'm trying to heal, and so I'm not able or willing to have contact right now. That is up to you.
That's it.
But that's hard to do,
so
especially when it's a parent. When it's a parent, it was very hard.
Or you have to explain it to a parent, and they don't understand that
why you're doing this to them. Because they feel like
Or
you're
to the
doing
family.
something to them. Or to the family. You're going to shame the family. What are people going to say? Well, you know what? I mean, people can say what they want, but again, this is my life. And you deserve to heal. We all deserve to heal. We're not just here to exist. And to go through the grind. We're here to live and thrive. Yes. We deserve that.
100%.
Especially Black people. I'm here for all the Black liberation.
100%.
Yes.
Blackly black.
In all its beautiful shades. I'm here for it.
Literally. And one of the things that I did have to start saying with my own family is, if I was going to say no, or when I was saying no, I had to start saying, stop asking me. Like, please stop asking me. My question is not the same, and every time you ask it, it bothers me. Like, my reasons. I've already said it to you, so stop asking me. And then I start getting angry, and I'm like, well, this is what you didn't want to happen, but just stop asking me. But I guess we don't need to get angry. But it is a healthy emotion still.
It's a healthy emotion, and it's the disrespect.
It is.
It's like I've already told, you're testing me, you're trying to wear me down. I've said no.
Yes.
Please respect that.
Yes.
Love me enough to just respect that.
Love me enough to respect.
Love me enough. Yeah.
We have so much that we wanted to talk about, but we're definitely gonna invite you back for another episode.
I would love that.
Congratulations again on finishing up your master's. And are you planning to take on any additional work, or what's your goals? You want to share anything?
Just briefly, certainly people are reaching out to hire me for different talks, which is great. Thank you for inviting me out. I have had people ask me if I'm taking on individual clients currently for some clinical work. I'm not yet. I have to flush some things out with the Nova Scotia College of Social Workers. I belong to a professional body, so there are checks and balances. that I have to abide by and kind of figure out first. So but once I'm all, approved by the board, I do plan on starting my own practice.
Amazing.
And, helping people do this healing work because it's everything.
Amazing. I love it. I love it. And if you guys need any inspiration, follow her on Instagram.
Yes.
It's Black Excellence Healing.
Black Excellence Healing, yes.
And
Black BLK.
BLK. And you do like daily tarot pulls and just like cute little videos.
I'm pulling from the Rest deck right now. The work of Trisha Hersey. Because she's all about Black liberation as well. And kind of pushing against kind of grind culture and just loving yourself. And honoring yourself.
The Rest deck.
Yeah, the Rest deck. Yeah.
Love it.
And the book Rest is Resistance is her book that I kind of got me going. So,
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm learning all that conditioning.
Totally.
But thank you for
so much
for being here. We're definitely gonna have you back.
Look forward to it.
And yes, follow her on Instagram, Black Excellence Healing. Follow us, Blue Room Podcast. Join the conversation, and we'll definitely see you guys soon.